I'm Tom, and you are watching me play The Witcher 3 Hearts of Stone DLC. Yesterday I left you on a bit of a cliffhanger, because we were walking up towards a big monster, and I figured it'd probably take me a few attempts to beat him, because I know we have to fight him. So let's see how we go, shall we?
Graves, unmarked, laid out in rows like garden beds. Hey. Hear me? Another thief. Bodies mutilated. Who are you?
It's fucked up.
Damn.
Homunculus without a face. Jesus. The reason I'm trying to hit him, by the way, is that each of these he kills, he heals. As you can see, he's up to full health again. Which is why this fight is a pain in the ass. Ow. Got it. I actually did that first try, which I'm kind of surprised about, to be perfectly honest.
What the fuck was that?
I love
No
that.
eyes or nostrils, deformed organs. Damn thing had no right to be alive.
Homunculus. Flesh golem.
Well, philosophers do still debate what it means to be alive, exactly.
Normally I'd be shocked, but not after what I just saw. Who are you two?
Clearly not animals. Think of us as friends of the house.
Mm-hmm.
What about this thing? What can you tell me? Friend of yours?
We called him the Caretaker.
Doesn't look like any creature I've ever seen. Where'd it come from?
From very far away. He was summoned to guard Lady Iris and the home. He tended the garden, took care of unwanted guests.
Very far away. Meaning where exactly?
The name of this place would mean naught to you.
I'd still want to hear it.
What's with the show? The pretense that you're animals. You couldn't have warned me?
No. We're obliged to maintain discretion.
So why talk to me at all?
Why? Well, we get so few chances to talk to humans, and we're curious to know what brought you.
Gonna need a better answer than that.
Later.
Indeed.
You know the master of the house, the owner?
Olgierd VonEverec? Yes. We know him, but he left, and his wife became mistress of the house.
Great. So, Lady VonEverec home? Could you announce me, say she has a guest?
Why do you wish to see her?
I'm here to get the violet rose Olgierd gave Iris just before he left.
Iris is inside, in the bedchamber upstairs. Take his key. It opens the rear door.
Guess I'll make my own introductions.
Indeed.
So, how should I address you?
As you did now. We'd rather keep our names to ourselves.
That's a very interesting note. It's worth noting you can take this... you can take this spade, it's actually a weapon. It's actually quite a good weapon. Also, as you can see here, the passive on it, 10% of damage dealt returns as vitality healing you. So that's why he was doing that. If he did damage, he healed. Which is quite a useful thing to have, really, but I'm not particularly worried about it currently. Now, I'm going to explore out the back here first, before anything else. It's another entrance into the graveyard out there, interestingly. But it said he was the caretaker and he tended to the garden as well as unwanted guests, which is interesting for a couple of things, because he seems to be caring for the garden by taking care of unwanted guests. He seems to be killing people and using them as fertilizer. Hello? Ornamental brush.
Brush. Floral ornamentation. Pretty.
Indeed. Well, nothing particularly interesting there. And over here... I don't believe there's anything particularly interesting over here either. No, there's not. Alright, good to know. So we can head into this house sooner rather than later, but...
Guess thieves tried to lower the statue with ropes, but something scared them off.
Mm-hmm. This is where they were talking about. They said they were trying to steal shit, and one got by the caretaker. It's a very interesting manor, this place.
Don't know this deity. Strange. Olgier doesn't seem the pious type.
Somewhat interesting. It's worshipping an idol that Geralt is unaware of, which is saying something, because Geralt is relatively worldly when it comes to those sorts of things. He doesn't really care for it, but he has knowledge of it.
Seeds and bulbs. Someone's still planting flowers.
Mm-hmm. We now know who. Also, because I find it interesting, wild boars, they're wild boars, they're not particularly interesting. The Toad Prince, we haven't read this, so let's read this. A girl walked up to the edge of the pond. There, squatting amidst the fragrant lilies and broad lily pads, she saw the most unusual sight, a small green frog with a golden crown perched on its warty head. Charmed by this curious little creature, the girl picked it up and gave it a kiss. Immediately, the little frog transformed into a handsome prince. Overcome with gratitude, he asked the girl to be his wife. Folktale, author unknown. Timeless tales always carry with them a grain of truth. The legend of the Frog Prince is no exception, or at least that's what the folk of Oxenfurt wished to believe when they found out a monstrous toad lurked in their city's sewers. The women who hunted it in search of romance and a better life, however, found their tales had a most unhappy ending. The creature they encountered was no small sweet frog, but a bloodthirsty beast, who not only did not let them in for a kiss, but instead greedily devoured them and anything else that strayed into its slime-covered lair. Indeed. Harpies and Arianas, I'm sure I've read this before. I don't know why it's giving me entries for them again. Hell, I'll go over them again. Most monsters don't actually keep any treasure in their lairs. Harpies, though, they like shiny things. Letho, I should have done Letho's voice. This is, Viper School Witcher. We'll meet Letho later in this game, I believe. Most monsters don't actually keep any treasure in their lair. Harpies, though, they like shiny things. I can't even do it as deep as Letho does it. The voice actor is ridiculous for Letho. He has this really strict American accent, and it's insanely gravelly, I guess, it puts Geralt to shame. It is hard to say what is most repulsive about harpies and their cousins, the Shishigas? Shishigas, I guess. Their hideous appearance, the overwhelming stench of rot and bird excrement that clings to them, or their blood-curdling screech. Suffice it to say that even rats who dwell happily among the rankest fecal matter and rotten waste give their nests wide berth. Also probably because they get eaten, but Arianas, which are more powerful harpies, essentially. A merchant once told me I reminded him of an Ariana. Naturally, I immediately teleported him to one of their nests so he could see for himself how ill-fitting a comparison it was. Lita Need, the sorceress who, also known as Coral. Oh, I know Coral. Hard as it is to imagine the Arianas found in Skellige even more repulsive and dangerous than harpies, their close relatives, though well-rotted carrion is their food of choice, they will not turn up their nose to fresh meat, man flesh included. So they're like Skelligan versions of harpies, essentially. Insectoids, we have the arachnomorph, which we have run into before. The spider shall never lay down with the fly, a fairy proverb. A similar saying could gain ground on our land concerning arachnomorphs and anything unable to flee them, meaning most every creature in the world. True, the tillers of the earth and fellers of trees need not fear them in their daily labours, for arachnomorph, as distant, post-conjunction cousins of common spiders, strongly prefer deep, dark caves and unfrequented sodded swamps. Anyone who does come across them, however, had best hope that his conscience is clear and his worldly affairs are in order, for his life shall soon end, as not even the fastest man in the world can outrun them, and only a few witches can hope to slay them, even worse than the more aggressive and dangerous kind known as arachnomorph colossi, which are capable of devouring an entire ox in seconds. It's terrifying. Relics, we have a thing for godlings that I for some reason have not read yet, but okay. Not too long, who's reading this? Ah, Doragary. He's a cool character from the books. He's essentially a conservationist. Not too long ago, the areas around peasant hamlets were chock full of guardian spirits. Today, it's nigh on to impossible to spot a brownie, bucker, or luton. And godlings, they are always the first to go. Such is the price we pay for civilization's forward march. Godlings, sometimes mistaken for luton, are woodland creatures dwelling in burrows and moss-covered hollow stumps on the outskirts of human settlements. They are similar to children in behaviour and appearance, and like children, delight in mischief. Godlings are deeply rooted up in their home territory and perform acts of care and guardianship to those dwelling near their burrows. They watch over people as well as animals, but shy creatures by nature, they try to do so while remaining unseen. Godlings are drawn to joy and innocence, and so delight in the company of children, and usually only show themselves to the young. These hardworking and clever creatures gladly perform small services for those in their care, asking only for respect and payment in the form of food or cast-off tools in repair. They are easily offered by churlish, ungrateful, or simply rude behaviour. Godlings often treasure their peace and quiet. When the village a godling watches over becomes too populous, or its inhabitants forget the old ways, it will abandon its burrow for good. It will abandon its burrow for good and walk off to destinations unknown. And the caretaker, which is the one I was more interested in, to be perfectly honest. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in philosophy. Bartholomew Derez, after trying to contact creatures from another plane and landing in an insane asylum. The caretaker served with the indifference of a golem, and proved as fierce in battle as it was diligent in its labour. It felt no pain. In fact, each blow it received seemed to give it strength. As did each blow it landed on Geralt with the spade it wielded as a weapon. What is more, the caretaker was able to summon powerful spirits from the graves it had dug, and could heal itself by absorbing them. The Witcher had a hard time evading the devastating strikes of its weapon, and his only chance of wounding the creature came when it would stick its spade in the ground to draw on otherworldly energy in an attempt to petrify its foes with fright. It's very interesting. It's a relic, which is interesting. But, as it says here, contact creatures from another plane. Interesting. So it's not of this world, literally. When they say it came from a place far away, they mean another plane. Like hell, for instance. And we also have an entrance for catechans, which I may as well read since I'm reading all the other ones. Melitele, Great Mother, protect us from evil, from unclean devils and foul demons, and most of all, from the clutches of catechans and nekarats. Fragment of a prayer. Catechans and the more dangerous kin, nekarats, are the embodiments of human fear. They hide in the shadows, they feed on blood. They resemble enormous bats, though with long fangs and even longer talons. And, as if it weren't terror enough, they can turn invisible, waiting unseen while dread of their unpreventable attacks overwhelms their victims. It's very interesting. I think Ekimaras are lower vampires. I believe catechans are actually technically a higher vampire. Which is not to say they are higher vampires, but it is a form of higher vampire. It's a difficult distinction in Witcher lore. Okay. So, with that, we can now enter the building. Which, I'm tempted to do next episode, but it's going to be a very short episode if I do that. So, let's go into the building.
Lucas.
That was terrifying. Oh, that door's still locked. Telling me I have to go towards the creepy light. Okay then. Unfortunate, but it's what we're gonna do. I look ridiculous. I'm wearing sunglasses inside.
What the hell?
That's not
Gotta
half
be
creepy.
careful.
Indeed. Chronicles of Redania. I'm not sure I've read that yet. No, that's Kavir and Provis. I have read that. Excuse me for 1 second. Alright, we're back. Iris' sketchbook.
What the hell was that?
They didn't want me to see the sketchbook, it would seem. I believe it's in quest items, maybe? Here we are. I can't inspect it or anything, but we have a sketchbook. I don't really want to go near that painting, for obvious reasons. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Thief!
To be fair, I did take her shit. Can't open the front door. We can head upstairs. I don't necessarily want to yet. I want to keep going down the bottom. Also, it's probably quite dark in here for you, and I apologize if that's the case. In post-production, I will try and brighten this up just a tad, because it is very, very dark in here, even for me. Not half terrifying. I'll see if I can light this bonfire. It may add some light to the area. There we go. It's a bit brighter.
Tidy. And everything's clean, ready for a meal to be served. Caretaker must still set the table.
I mean, that's just rude. Also, I have no doubt that you can hear all the sounds going in the background of Iris kind of whimpering and making all sorts of sounds. It's creepy. Alright, let's head upstairs. Portrait of Olgierd, which is interesting.
Olgierd as I've never known him. A different man then.
A lot less scars and more handsome by the look of it. Well, not really more handsome. He looks much the same as he does normally. Which is quite handsome, but there's no scars. Or at the very least, fewer scars.
Someone out to stop me.
Well, that's interesting. What else is interesting is the fact that the face is burnt off that portrait. That's locked.
Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
At least in that painting, she's looking quite lovingly up at him. Can't go out there either, it's locked.
Fire damage. Interesting.
Toussaint, I've already read. Chronicles of Redania is already read. Cover and Purpose is already read. That just looks like a pain in the ass to fall down there. It's funny the way that as soon as you go technically outside, Geralt starts running rather than walking. It's kind of funny. That's not at all creepy that doors are opening for me, but whatever.
That stench.
Whoa. There we go. Alright, I'm good. I don't want to get actually hit by her because she's dangerous. Alright everyone, and we're back. So I literally can't beat Iris. It's not hard, I'm not dying, but she out-heals me and I can't possibly destroy the painting before she heals all the damage I've done to her. I need to be high level. That's the reality of the situation, unfortunately. So the way that the fight works, I'm sure I'll have some footage. In fact, I'll have footage of it up right now. But she comes out of those paintings, and you'll attack her, and then she does a scream, and one of those paintings starts healing her. It heals, like, per second, like 8 to 10,000 health per second, which is just more than I can possibly... Like, it takes me like 2 to 3 seconds to destroy it, usually, because the lock-on goes a bit weird with her as well. I remember this being a problem when I was doing the fight, like the first time I played through this, but it's nowhere near as noticeable because I'm doing so little damage to her because I'm so under-leveled that I can't beat her. Which is unfortunate. It means I need to come back. I need to leave and then come back. It's the reality of the situation. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know whether I'm going to mod some more experience on or something, or whether or not I'm just going to go do some extra stuff. Like, I have quests I can do, I suppose. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, I'm level 82, this is level 91. Which isn't, like, insanely over the top level-wise, but it's up there. Like, I have some secondary quests I can do to get some more experience, so I'm tempted to do these. Go find Philippa, do all this stuff. It's tempting. Do some Witcher contracts, I could do that too. I don't know, I'm going to think about it between episodes. That's going to be it for this episode, unfortunately. It'll probably be quite a short one. I'm thinking probably around 20 minutes, even with all that stuff that I read. Because I legitimately just don't know how to beat her with the amount of regen she has. It's just over the top. I legitimately just can't beat her as far as I'm aware. Yeah, we're in a bit of a pickle as it stands. Because I don't really know what to do. I'll think about it. I may end up just modding myself up some experience levels, which I don't really want to do. I would prefer to just do quests, but I don't want to kind of detract that much from the story. I'm in two minds. I'll think about it between episodes. Anyway, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time for more Witcher, Hearts of Stone. Bye, guys. Oh, there we go.
What the hell was that?
Alright, so that's going to be the actual end of the episode. I managed to kill her. The way I did it, by the way. Superior Moondust. Contains silver splinters that permanently prevents monsters from transforming. Also prevents monsters from healing over time, which I remembered. So that actually helped significantly. It actually just stopped her from regenning entirely, which made the fight possible. I used all 4. I don't think I actually had to. I think I could have used, like, just 1 and it would have been fine because it's superior. The previous versions, like the normal Moondust Bomb and the greater Moondust Bomb, both of them are like a time-gated thing, whereas Superior just permanently stops them from doing it, which is really, really useful. But that's now done, so that's going to be the end of the video. If you like the video, please leave a like, all that kind of stuff, and I shall see you next time for more Witcher 3, where we can actually continue, which is good, because that would have been a really irritating reason not to continue. Okay, so I'm going to save here.